Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Behind the Reel. We have been off for a week or two here, and we're back with a special guest, first time ever on the show, Richie McMichael. He is a Kansas hammer, really well known around the area. If you have fished a Kansas tournament in the last, oh man, he's been at it for a while now, the last 7 years, or we'll do some math here later. You probably lost some money to Richie. So you guys may have a chance to earn some of that money back because it sounds like he is going to be fishing the Kansas Kayak Anglers trail this year with us. He's been out to two of them, came away with a win out at Perry, and that's what we're going to discuss today. So he was able to get the win out there with, I want to say it was, yes, 81 inches out at Perry Lake. Fairly tough conditions, a lot of wind. Anyway, so he was able to battle those variables, come away with the win. 48 anglers, that's what I was trying to spit out there. So 48 anglers, really good average out there. First event, we had 63, so we are averaging over 50 anglers out with the Kansas Kayak Anglers so far this season. So third event will be out at El Dorado, and that's going to be this weekend. Saturday, we're going to be fishing out at El Dorado Lake. And if you want more details on that, you can check that out at Kansas Kayak Anglers on Facebook. You can find the event over there on Tourney X. Or just shoot a comment over there in the comment section. I already see some guys over there in the comments. Appreciate you. A lot of anticipation on hearing McNasty speak today. So that is a nickname that he has been given. And yeah, it's kind of an intimidating name, McNasty, So definitely somebody to be intimidated by on the water, but very nice guy. And he is going to be spilling the beans today. So I'm going to quit rambling here. I'm going to bring them on, but I do also want to encourage you guys to comment over in the comment section. Our tackle box episode, I think this is number 4 of the What's in Your Tackle Box. So it's kind of a new take on this podcast format. We will get into a lot of the same questions that we've gotten into in the past, but we're going to add a little twist and focus on some of the tackle side of things. So he's actually going to show you what he brought in his kayak the day of winning the tournament, and we'll go into it in depth. So kind of a cool take. Let me know what you guys think about that. And if you have any questions that I need to add to the arsenal related to tackle, related to kayak, organization, related to gear that you're bringing that may not be tackle related. We've talked about guys that are bringing split ring pliers and guys that are bringing sharp hook sharpeners, or the reverse, I guess. So just like little things like that, kind of cool to hear about how different people set up their kayak. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring Richie on, and we'll get right to it. What's up, man?
What's going on, John? How's it going, man?
Not a whole lot, just hanging out here in the garage. Looks like you're doing the same.
Oh, yeah. You're getting rigged up for this weekend, so.
Appreciate you making some time for us. So as we can see, you do have the kayak right there behind you. And so we'll get into that here pretty quick, but there may be a few new viewers tonight that, have been living under a rock and don't know who you are. So if you want to just kind of give a brief introduction of yourself and how you got into, maybe fishing earlier on in life, and more specifically kayak fishing.
Yeah, dude. Growing up in Northeast Missouri, man, there's nothing to do out there except for hunting fish. So, I had 3 nice bass ponds on walking distance of my house. So that was every day after work or after school. That's where I'd be, man. Out the pond, throwing my Berkeley power worm or Mep spinner and buzz bait, stuff like that. Man, I've been doing it since I've been a little kid. But I didn't really start getting into tournament fishing until about 2005 or six. That's when I kind of I got out of college and stuff, and finally had some money in order to, buy a boat, start going fishing with those guys, and started out, me and my buddy Jeremiah Smith. Some of you guys know who he is. He lives in Austin, Texas now. We started doing team tournaments at Smithville Lake back in like 2006 or so, and we really didn't. We thought we were awesome, dude. We were going to come out. We were going to cash some checks and win a lot of tournaments. But man, no, pond fishing, fun fishing like that, it just doesn't carry over to these tournament lakes that are highly pressured. You just got to know what you're doing. So we got our butts kicked for a while. We started just going to these tournaments and not paying, just going out there fishing, see what we can do against everybody else, and then kind of going to the weigh-in. But yeah, there's always a guy out there that kept trying to get me to join the bass club because they were looking for non-boaters. But so I was like, man, maybe I should go do that for a while and learn from some people and try to get better at fishing. So I did that for a while. I parked the boat in my garage and started going as a non-boater, and that was probably one of the best things I've done to learn how to fish. One time I'll be out with a guy who is a great jig fisherman, so I definitely pay attention to what he does, what's he throwing at, what kind of jig he's using, and stuff like that. And then another time I'll be with someone who loves to throw crankbaits and do crankbaits all their lives, and you just being observant and being a non-boater, it was really tough to do because I hate not being in control. You know what I mean? When you're in the back of someone's boat all day long, it's hard, especially when you're with someone who pins you to the shore, and it's hard to catch fish. But that for a whole year I went as a non-boater, and I did learn a lot from guys that have been in the fishing for 20, 30 years experience each. And, you pick up a lot from there. And then I joined the club. I fished, it was at the time Shawnee Mission Bassmasters, fished that for several years. And started out pretty well throughout the whole time, made the championship tournament every year, got my first win the first year on Table Rock Lake. And then, when the gas price thing hit, back in the day at 2007, 2008, that's, it was kind of hard hauling that big bass boat to a lake and, winning $200 if you win a tournament and you still, lose money on the tournament and stuff like that. But, I kept fishing several years, 3 or 4 years in the club. Then I just got tired of the club stuff. And I have a lake 5 minutes from my house called Wyandotte County Lake, and it's a 500-acre lake, really clear lake. It has smallmouth, largemouth, and stuff. And I fished, and this is kind of where I really got a lot better at fishing because it's a very high pressure lake, and you gotta learn how to catch fish in high pressure lakes. Because I don't like going out there and getting my butt kicked every time. I'm going to do what I have to do to figure it out. So every Wednesday night for about 6 or 7 years, about 100, probably about 25 to 30 weeks out of the year, every Wednesday night, that's where I was at, fishing a Wednesday night tournament at Wyandotte County Lake. And that was that, and it's like I said, a highly pressured lake, and I learned a lot of stuff from just doing those Wednesday night tournaments and stuff. But at that point, as time went by, around 2012, 13, I was really kind of getting, burnt out from the bass boat fishing. Just wasn't really that fun anymore. But I just still did the local tournaments and stuff. I think in 2014 is when I was introduced to kayak fishing.
Yeah.
I had no idea there was even a thing, or and that's like, and Josie Stone,
Yeah.
local guy here in Kansas City, him, Derek James, and then he got a club going, the Northeast Kansas Kayak Anglers. It started 2014.
Yeah.
And once that got started, they went out, for the first tournament. I wasn't there. It's like, man, I don't want to get a kayak. I have a boat. Why do I need a kayak? But I kind of seen, what was happening, up in Nebraska. They had a kind of kayak scene going on there with Marty Hughes and stuff. And it's like, man, I'm going to give this a shot. So I went down to Bass Pro Shop, bought the biggest kayak they had. It was an Ascend, I think. I remember my first tournament. It was where was that? It was just south of Lacine. I can't remember the lake, but
Leavenworth or
it's not Leavenworth. Just south of Lacine Lake. It's about an hour 20 minutes from Kansas City. I can't remember the name of it, but I had on that Ascend kayak for the first time, man. It was, and I just remember fishing my first tournament out of that thing with no anchor, just a paddle, no motor, no foot paddle. It was definitely, it was amazing. So I really want to keep doing this, because this wasn't fun, getting blown around and the kayak didn't track straight. But it was, I don't know if I met you then, but it was like 2 or 3 tournaments down the road at Leavenworth Lake. You were there, I believe. I don't know if you fished it or not.
I did. That was my first one ever. Yeah, with Eric Braden.
Yeah, but I do remember that I caught a 17-inch fish in the last 15 minutes to beat Eric, because Eric got second. But
was it Pleasanton?
No, it wasn't Pleasanton. It was like Middleburg or
okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It was close to there. It's but anyway, yeah. Raph Vargas, he's a guy from Nebraska.
Yep.
He was at that tournament. It was a pretty windy day.
It was.
And I noticed I was sitting at one side of the lake. It took me 30 minutes to paddle to the boat ramp. Yep. And this guy, he went from where I was at to the boat ramp. It took me 30 minutes. It took him less than 5 minutes. And he was in a Hobie Oasis or whatever it was. And after I seen him, I called him that night and I talked to him for it was like 2 a.m. whenever we got off the phone. So I wanted to know as much about the Hobie kayaks as I could, and make sure, since they were pretty expensive, make sure I get the right one. So I ended up getting a Hobie PA-12, and it just changed fishing. It just changed how I fished, and
Did you win that one at Leavenworth?
I did win that tournament. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember that year. That year, I think Josie won the Angler of the Year. I did, and I think that might have been the first tournament we fished that was all bass.
Oh, okay.
I'm not, because I know it started out Middle Creek. Someone put up Middle Creek.
Was that it? Maybe.
It might have been.
I don't know. I was looking on the.
It's right next to the I-35. So it's, but yeah, it might be what it is. But the NECA started out as, multi-species, catfish, bass, and but then I think Leavenworth, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's the first time it went all bass.
That one was all bass. I can't say for sure if it was the first one, but it definitely was all bass. Yeah.
But yeah, after that I sold that Ascend kayak. Never looked back. Don't get me wrong, it's a great kayak, but compared to the Hobies at the time, the Hobies were the only pedal drives out there, and that what kind of got me into fishing kayak.
You went straight to the Pro Angler though in the Hobie lineup.
I went straight to the Pro Angler 12.
Okay, and Josie had the Outback, I think.
Yeah, he had the Outback at first. Yeah. And then everybody is saying, get to 14, because it's tracks better, it's faster, more room. I ended up getting it. And that's when I kind of had to change the way I stored it, because I could pick the 12 up and put it on the side of my wall. But and this I can kind of show you back to the car I built.
Okay.
There, James is going to help me build the car, and I can just push it onto the truck, and when I back the truck up to the door, I can just pull it straight onto that car. It has 2 3-inch PVC pipes on it. It makes it so much easier to unload and load in the garage. And before, I was just dragging it on the concrete floors. And,
Yeah.
but yeah, and then after finding out about boondocks, oh god, because that was another issue. Going in and out of the water at boat ramps, spending so much time on the ramp, and taking everything out, and then putting scupper hole card in there. And so the boondocks is something. It's one of those things that has been very, very convenient to have especially having a heavy kayak like that. And now, I roll up to the ramp, jump up, I go face forward, jump out, and just start pulling my kayak off the ramp. And, I'm on there for like 10 seconds. So keeps the ramp clear. But yeah, and yeah, I really got into it in 2015. We did lakes like Gardner Lake back then. I know we did Lacine. Several Bone Creek. I was surprised you guys didn't have Bone Creek for KKK this year, but
I think it'll make it on there next year. I would imagine.
Yeah, and I know Banner Creek's a decent sized lake too. But anyway, yeah, we're fishing all those smaller lakes back then, which was pretty cool. We fished Banner a lot, but in
what was it, 2016 when? So Air Capital started in 15, kind of midway through the year.
Okay.
16 was our first official season. And was that the year you won both AOYs, or was it?
No, that was 2017. That was my last year fishing the local stuff.
Won them both. Won Northeast Kansas Kayak Anglers and Air Capital Kayak Anglers. I think we each had at least 5 or 6 tournaments, and
yeah,
between
those 2 clubs, I won, I think, 9 tournaments that year between those 2 clubs, and it should have been 10, but I'm not going to say why it wasn't 10 because somebody else. But anyway.
I think I might know what that is.
Yeah,
we won't talk about it.
we won't talk about that. But yeah, and that's kind of, and that 2017 year was the year that I was like, man, I'm going to leave these guys alone for a while. I think there's some people that, there's, what's he doing? I had some people just following me every time to kind of see what I was doing and where I was fishing. And it's like, yeah.
All the air's out of your tires.
But no, and like I started getting to where because, sometimes back then we didn't have turning X. We were just turning in our pictures manually at the end. So I started, just putting all my fish online after every tournament, just putting them out there,
Yeah.
Just so.
Trying to be transparent.
Yes, exactly. So I think every single tournament from 16, 17, they're all on NECA somewhere. I posted somewhere on there. But, yeah, and after that 17 year, because I don't travel. I'd never traveled for fishing that far. Ozarks, Taylor Rock's been the farthest, but I wanted, because I had in 2018, I started off the year pretty good, fished some KBF events, because KBF at that time was set up with the local clubs and stuff.
Yeah.
And I started fishing more national stuff. The Midwest Kayak Fishing Series was big that year. I kind of want to get into that because that was probably the funnest series and the thing that I will always remember is winning that 2018 Midwest Kayak Fishing Series. It started out by you had your individual live tournaments, but in the AOY was also the online stuff. And I've never seen anything like it before, man. So I know there's a lot of people that was fishing like every single day to try to win this thing and win the monthlies. And I remember finding that's the year I found my lake, the Bass Factory. I went up there. I wanted to try, because I knew the guy that owned the local club, Mondo Tackle, the local tackle store at the time. He kind of sold and moved, but he was here for a while. So I was like, man, I know you talk to a lot of people. So where do you think some good smaller lakes out of nowhere that most people aren't going to know about? So he gave me a list of all these lakes to go try. And so, some of them were okay, some of them sucked, but there was one that was excellent. I know the first day up there, I caught, I think, 104 inches in one day. And the first day I was there, and I was like, man, this is going to be a fun year.
That had to have won the month, or no?
No, I had to get 800 or 108 or 100. I think the first month I had 109 inches.
Wow.
And if you ask me to do that again in a month, I would never be able to do that because,
that's pretty wild.
Obviously the lake's going to just get a lot more pressure now, and it's just not the same anymore. But yeah, I had to get 108, 109 inches every month. I think I won all 3 months.
Wow.
And put that in perspective, some of these guys are fishing, like I said, every single day of the week. And because it was the Midwest Kayak Fishing Series at 18 was the biggest thing around here at that time, and it got a lot of people to fish it.
Yeah, it did. We had 70 at Big Hill.
Yeah.
And I think they were bringing crowds like that pretty much everywhere they went.
Yeah. Talk about Big Hill. I need to get down there and learn how those guys catch those 90 inches.
Yeah, they do. They catch them pretty consistently. It's pretty much going to be 90 to win, or
Yeah.
more down there.
But yeah, getting back to it, that the first 3 months, like the first month on the online series, I fished like 2 days, and I got like 109 inches or some nonsense like that, and like everybody else was fishing every single day. And then the second month, I fished like 3 or 4 days. Then the third month, it took me a lot longer to win that, and I barely won that tournament. I think James Francis came in second to me that year in that tournament. But I'm trying to remember. I think, and yeah, Big Hill was the first tournament for the Midwest Kayak Fishing Series, and I remember that tournament because everybody's rudders froze. It was so cold in the morning. And yeah, I can't. But yeah, I remember getting third place in that tournament. I only had 78 inches or something like that. So I was surprised to get, but I guess the fishing was really tough that time. I think Jeff Herr won that tournament, I do believe, on the A rig.
He did.
But yeah, that was the first tournament, and man, I can't remember where the other ones were at.
So that series, it sounds like maybe kind of got you thinking you want more of a taste of that kind of a more.
Yeah, well, anymore I was like, I don't really care for the online stuff anymore. But then everybody's kind of newer to it, and it was just a blast to do. It was so fun to get out there and do that. And just the amount of people that were fishing it, and the good anglers, like, I know the workmen, a lot of Glory, all those guys up in Nebraska that came up. There's a lot of people from Arkansas. I know Jeff Mallett came up to some of those tournaments. So it was the biggest thing in our area at the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what kind of got me going. And I remember the championship tournament was on Lake Wanahoo. And I think they had a tournament on Wanahoo, the regular season tournament, and then they had the championship there as well.
I think you're right.
But I remember in that one Wanahoo tournament was a KBS event, and I'll get into the KBS stuff here in a minute because that's the first year I was doing the national stuff. But I think I got 5th place at Wanahoo, and I only had 4 fish. I was so mad. I get so mad when I don't catch the limit, man. I hate it. It makes you want to quit fishing. But But I still ended up getting like 5th or 6th place in that tournament. So I was kind of happy. I got good AOY points and stuff. I remember at the one who the Midwest Championship, Nate Gloria was going around filming people. So since I was leading the AOI stuff, he came with me first. So within the first 10 minutes, I popped a 20-inch bass on a jig, and it was on one of the. I don't have many of those jigs. I remember the jig it was on with Slifer. Alex Slifer had those jigs. I can't remember the name of his jig, but
something Great Plains or something. Or?
Yeah. It was on one of those jigs with my. I usually throw a Strike King Rage crawl on my jigs, but yeah, and I'm glad he got that on film. That made my day. Him being there, getting that first fish on film, because I know he went off and started filming other people that day. So I was like, yeah, he's gonna be telling everybody I got that big one early, and they're gonna all be panicking, and But yeah, it ended up being a fun series. I ended up barely beating out Kevin Workman. He was tough to beat on the onlines. I believe he came in second a lot, and but yeah, and like back then, most of the the KBF tournaments were that were fishing were local because they were with local clubs. I think they had one in Nebraska that year. I went up to Summit Lake in Nebraska. I ended up getting second place at that lake. I remember that somewhat. It was literally I had the lead going into the last 5 minutes. Marty Hughes on his Nico rig caught one and barely got its picture taken within a minute and submitted that fish. Because I thought I had it all won, and I was kind of disappointed I didn't win, but it was a good time. But I know with the KBF tournament, I had 4 tournaments out of the year, and you had to fish 5 back then, I believe it was. And the only other tournament was in Pennsylvania on Lake Erie. It's like, man, that was a 13-hour trip. I never drove that far in my life. So I ended up getting my buddy Mel Ash. We kind of threw both of our kayaks in the truck, and we made the trip out there. Long story short, I didn't do that well, but I still got enough points to make the KBF to 10. And that was kind of cool making that, because KBF to 10 was the thing to make back then. If you made that, you were doing good. So, and that was that trip down to the KBF to 10 was 16-hour drive. Oh my gosh. Man, I see people doing that all the time. It's like 8 hours, 9 hours. That's about max. Any over that, it gets tough to do. But like I said, that 2018 was really the year that got me wanting to go on the next level, or fish national tournaments and stuff like that. And it just went from there. I've been having pretty good success. I made the DOC 19. Every time I go to Lake Fork, I always do well for some reason. I love that lake. And that's usually on their schedule. But I've been doing a lot of traveling the last several years, putting 25,000 miles a year on the truck, but it's just fun. I wouldn't have it any other way, man. I don't know. It's exciting, and and that long drive doesn't. It's not that bad when you have a big paycheck coming home too. So.
Well, that's true. So. You keep those paychecks coming in, steadily enough, I'm sure. What after you kind of got a taste of that, and kind of proving yourself on the national scene, what made you want to come back and fish these local events once the Kansas Kayak Anglers formed?
Well, I still fished local events, but I fished the Missouri, the Moyak Club, and the reason why I fished the Moyak Club, they were getting quite a bit of people down there, and there was a lot of good competition. And I think, and that's the best way to get better at fishing and continue to get better, to go where a lot of good anglers are fishing. I know, like Lance Burris, Dorman Huey, Brian Hillman, Jeff Mellencamp, all those people down there, and it was fun going down there to compete with them, and I made a lot of new friends by fishing. You fishing all these different clubs and stuff. You just meet new people. Like I met lifelong buddies through this. Like just starting to fish Moyak. I got to know Jeff Mellencamp. Was on the team series with him last year. We won the Angler of the Year for the
Nice.
team series. He wanted me to tell you guys that he's taught me everything I know. So,
Okay.
but
Sure.
yeah, I think I really wanted to win the Moyak Angler of the Year, but it just I've been so close. But like the first year I fished it, I got third place in the Angler of the Year. Norman Huey, Lance Burris were right in front of me on that one. Second year I fished Moyak, I got fifth in the Angler of the Year. And I'm doing pretty good. It's like, I can't do any better than this. It's like these people, but these, you go to these areas, these people fish these lakes all the time. And that's another reason why I wanted to fish the Moyak too, because just the lakes on their schedule, man. You got Stockton and Ozarks and Table Rock, Grand Lake and Bull Skulls. They're all awesome lakes. Granted, they are a little bit further a drive, but if you're fishing like all these Kansas lakes, what are you going to learn, from these smaller lakes and stuff like that? They're just better lakes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's where a lot of big tournaments are.
Sure.
So I fit, and last year kind of had a down year a little bit. I still made it in the top 10, but barely. And that's kind of the thing I wanted when I heard that the Kansas Kayak Anglers were kind of joining forces. When I first heard that, I was like, this might be pretty cool. I know instead of having 4 clubs get like 10 to 15 people, maybe you can have one series that, you get 50, 60 people, and then you can, like Perry Lake, I wasn't expecting to take home about $1,277, from fishing a local event. Normally it's like 2, 3, maybe 400, what it used to be anyway.
It's pretty cool to be able to, give that kind of money out and pay you further down the field too.
Mm-hmm. And that's another thing about whenever I was at the Mine Lands tournament, the first tournament I fished this year, or the Kansas Kayak Angler tournament I fished this year, I was there at the awards at the end. It's like, man, I don't know hardly any of these guys, I know names, but I've never seen a lot of them. And I know there's a lot of new good anglers that I would love to compete against. And I know, like winning the Angler of the Year now for that club, you gotta know what you're doing and be good. It's not like it used to be, man. I know. I know Ryan Brook fished some of those. I remember him from that 2017 Air Capital tournament at Crowley Lake. I remember him. I thought I had the tournament won. I remember him winning this tournament, and he had big bass. So
that was Gary, right?
Gear, yes, that's where it was. Gear, yeah. And that's the first time I heard Ryan. And he usually does pretty good in these tournaments. And and there's just so many like good anglers now, like Hip and Troy, the Northeast Kansas guys, and at Kyle Salvner, he got fourth at Perry. I've been trying to get him a little bit better at angling, and he's a new guy. He reached out to me, last year before. He's new to fishing and stuff, and I try to help him out as much as I can, get him better. And he's already cashing checks now, so
you better stop. You better stop helping him.
Right. Yeah. Oh no. I'm just so lucky, to be able to do this sport, and I've learned from a lot of people. So I don't have any secrets. I tell people, like here in a minute, I'm going to tell everybody exactly where I fished on Perry, what happened, and stuff like that. So I have no secrets. The next year rolls around, the water temp will be different. Fish will be fishing, biting somewhere else on something else. So, But yeah, just seeing all those names and getting 50, 60 people for a tournament, and still, even though it's all at Kansas, I still don't have to drive that far to these tournaments, and like you said, with the gas prices being so high, it's double to fill your vehicle up and double the expenses now that with inflation that it's probably a good thing to fish more local tournaments and stuff, because I don't have a whole lot on my schedule this year besides local tournaments. The only other tournaments that aren't local are, I think I'll be going to Dardanelle for the Hobie, um, up in Wisconsin for those two rivers for the Hobie, and I believe that's it for national wise. Besides like Kentucky Lake for the national championship, and I'm really hoping to get a top three.
Why?
I'm really hoping to get top three in the Hobie, one of those Hobie tournaments, to make the TLC, because I fish Caddo Lake a lot, and they'll throw a wacky wig Cinco and catch 100 inches, so I really want to compete at that level at that tournament. I think that the Hobie AOY, although I'll only be able to do two Hobies this year, so I won't be able to get in the AOY. It's probably the toughest thing to win right now, the AOY, and to make it to the TLC and win the TLC. That's probably the most prestigious thing to do right now in kayak fishing.
I would agree.
And I guess coming in second's the Bassmaster Kayak Classic, just because I know a lot of people think they have issues with running tournaments and stuff, and they kind of do, I guess. They need to get their stuff together if they want to start getting 200 anglers a tournament, stuff like that. But you gotta think they really, whenever at Possum Kingdom at the Kayak Classic last year, I ended up making the top 10. And that's after making the top 10. I get back home, I was like, and people were messaging me, "Hey man, I don't know you, but I seen you do well. Will you come talk to our kid group here?" Because I guess they have a kid fishing club here in the area, and I just got messages from people I didn't know. So they're getting their message out to a lot of people, and so it's definitely good for a sport. I'm hoping they start taking things to the next level and start doing what the anglers want, because I think it could be really big if they did that. So,
Speaking of that, you guys do still have one opportunity left to qualify for the state championship in order to earn an invite to go fish the national championship, which Richie's talking about here, and that's going to be on June 18th at Big Hill. So if you guys want to get signed up for that, actually what we're doing this year is you just have to fish a tournament to qualify for the state championship. In the top 10% from the state championship get a move on to the national. So that'll help get some entry fees saved up to help these guys, with their travel expenses and stuff as well. So
yeah, I know. And like normally the first tournament I fished, I qualified for the kayak championship. This year, I went to Lake Fork. It's the only, and Grand Lake. Those are the Bassmaster tournaments I've done this year, and I bombed both of them. So I haven't qualified for the kayak championship next year in Knoxville. So I either hit another one this year, or it's probably going to be hopefully the Kansas Kayak Trail or whatever. I think, when is it? September 8th is the championship, or October. Okay, and that. Yeah. Do you know where that's located at yet?
I have not finalized a venue for that. So the idea was to do it on a lake we haven't done in the KKA schedule. So that kind of narrows it down quite a bit. But, maybe like a Milford or a Bone Creek or
I'd say you leave Milford out of that. You're probably only going to have like 20 people. So, Bone Creek's fine. That'll work. And then we'll all have big limits,
all those NECA and SECA guys are definitely going to
agree. Or we could go up I guess it has to be in Kansas, doesn't it? I would say we'd go up to the Bass Factory and do it,
We could do that.
but yeah, that's. I want to really go to Knoxville because going out. I went out to South Carolina this year, and that long drive, and oh man, this one's at least within 8 hours, and I'd love to qualify for it, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen this year because you're going to probably have to win or get top two qualify. It's not like it was in the past year when you had, like last year you only had one qualified, but the year before that I think there was like 5 at each championship that qualified, and
It's
I
just
know
10%. Yeah, is what they did. So if we bring 50 anglers, 50 anglers, end up qualifying to fish the state championship, that means we get to send 5. But if we only get 20, we only send 2.
I know we already have a Kansas guy qualified, Daniel. He qualified at Grand Lake, so
Shout out to
he's
Dan.
already going. Yeah, hell yeah. I definitely would like to go with him. But they're making it harder to qualify for that too, which I like.
Yeah.
They're not, because the first year at Possum King, I know they did it the one at Martin Lake the year before, but the first actual kayak championship on Possum Kingdom, we're and everyone is in the room there. They show raise the hands. How many people qualified through their state? And the majority of the room qualified through the state tournament, and like maybe 25% qualified through the opens.
Yeah.
And now that has changed quite a bit because it's when you only have 1 or 2 people qualify per state, and a lot of states don't even have qualifications, and who knows if those people who do qualify even show up. So, but yeah, I think if Bass does things right, they'll turn it around. But I don't think they're going to come close to what Hobie's doing right now. It's crazy, man. You have to sit on your phone and watch the time go down if you want to even fish a tournament because there's so many people, just wanting to do those.
That's good. Yeah, that's awesome. And Bass could, with the influence they have, obviously they could definitely turn that around. So we're hard. We're as a group, as the kayak anglers of we're kind of hard on folks. We'll call you out on stuff, and so yeah. I mean, if they wanna make it a premier event like the Bassmaster Classic, then they're gonna have to step it up. So I'm sure it'll happen.
Yeah, hopefully one day. I know, man. When I first started kayak fishing in 14, you'd never seen another kayak. You can't go to a lake now without seeing another one. Now it's blown up huge, and I don't know, and just more people can afford it, can do it. That's kind of why I can have a boat, but my boat sat in my garage for 2 years when I got my kayak. My wife told me, he's like, sell it or use it. So I ended up parting ways. Some kid from Kansas State bought it, so he's using it in college fishing now. So that's pretty cool. Got to see it's going to be used and not sit in the garage. So
those kids are good.
Mm-hmm.
Those K-State kids, they've got a good team. All right. I say, since we're running, on a little bit of a time, schedule here. I've got a game to go to in about 30 minutes or so.
I can jump into about what Perry Lake real quick.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said at Perry Lake, I've never fished Perry before. I've been on Perry Lake quite a few times, skiing, tubing, been wasted on the lake, but I've never fished it. But what? Yeah, Party Cove. But whenever I was out there, I was, look, man, I think I'd fish that spot, or I'd fish that spot. I kind of remember what I saw, back then. But I had my eye on 3 spots. One was the main marina area, all the riprap, the Rock Creek Marina and all the riprap, and then all the way up north on the north end of the lake where the bridge was and stuff like that. Right before you get to the bridge on the east side of the lake, there's a big channel swing that comes by that main point. I figured you could probably get a limit there or something like that. But I ended up glad I didn't fish up there because I heard water was a little bit muddy or stained or whatever.
Yeah.
But I decided to fish Creek and launch at Rock Creek Marina just because there's definitely a lot of riprap in that area. But because, Table Rock Lake, I always fish Rock Creek. So, and there's another lake I always fish, that's Rock Creek. So I was like, Rock Creek. So I just picked it because of its name.
Oh my gosh.
So,
guys,
but there was some cool stuff in that area that I saw too. So that's, and
just for all of you guys watching at home, if you want to be a decorated angler like Richie McMichael, when you're fishing when you're pre-fishing, you got to pay attention to the name of the area you're fishing. You got to fish an area really cool name. That's how you win.
No, but yeah, I didn't realize how close it was. It was like 50 minutes from my house. So I show up to the boat ramp about an hour early. And there's tons of cars around that marina. So I'm assuming people live on those boats or whatever, I guess. So I was just waiting. And then finally, here comes Kyle Savner. He shows up and it's like, yeah, where's everybody at? I thought there was more people coming here. And he's like, I don't know. I thought too. So it ended up being just me and him launching from that ramp. So when we get out there and launch, I go to the point of the bridge, and Kyle goes to the point of the bridge as well. And I'm going to fish the inside of the bridge, and he's going to fish the outside. I'm glad he fished the outside because that wind was blowing in, and it was cold. So I was on the inside out of the wind. So, but, that's kind of what I did all day. I fished that bridge. I fished around the other side of the bridge. And then they have that sailboat marina. And on the other side of that sailboat cove, they have this man-made seawall that's really steep and riprap. But I started the inside of that bridge at first, throwing a crankbait. This is my frit side. I kind of broke that off.
Okay.
On the bill off. These are one of my favorite crankbaits of the bill, the Berkeley frit side. But I was catching white bass. I didn't want to catch white bass. So I figured out pretty quick to put the crankbait down because my whole goal was to throw the crankbait all day, some kind of crankbait. But I ended up throwing it for 15 minutes, and that was it. And I ended up picking up the bladed jig. I'd give it a shot. So the first 30 minutes I was throwing it, I was throwing a medium speed probably, and I was getting bit. Caught a lot. I think I caught 68, 69 inches in the first 30 minutes. Just little fish. And then I quit getting bit within probably the first hour on it. It's like, man, I really don't. I looked at everything I had tied on. I was like, man, either I'm going to throw this jerk bait or I'm going to just stick with this bladed jig and just fish it a little differently. And at that time, my instincts were telling me, and I had confidence catching them on the bladed jig. So that's what I kind of ended up sticking with. I slowed it way down, and I was fishing anywhere from 4 to 8 feet. Because I didn't want to fish any more than 8 feet, because if I'm over 8 feet when I'm slow rolling that bladed jig, it's going to get caught up in the rocks. So if it gets caught up, I wanted to be able to get it out. So I was fishing at 4 to 8 feet. And I consistently caught bass that way almost the majority of the day. Till the last couple hours, then it kind of stopped. And I'm not one of those people that like to fish around people, but there were boats everywhere. There was some kind of ute tournament. There's crappie people everywhere fishing. And they were fishing shallow because the crappie were up spawning. And, so I was like, man, I'm going to get off this river. I want to go over this seawall. There's only one boat over there on that seawall fishing. So I paddle over there. Oh, but first, before I go over there, once it got light out, because I thought, man, there's going to be a lot of big bass under these docks. I'm going to hammer, And I seen a sign. It's like, no fishing marina structures. I'm like, God dang it. So that kind of ruined my plan there because there was tons of bass busting out at the corner of those docks. I'm like, man, I can't even go over there and fish it. But it's like, man, I don't want to get DQ'd, so I'm going to go over. So I decided to go over there and fish that other riprap seawall. And I don't know, it was probably about 30 of 11. I'm not 100% sure what time it was, but there was a bass boat or a crappie fisher boat. I think I ended up going by them 4 or 5 different times the rest of the day, like 4 or 5 hours passed, and I went by them 3 or 4 or 5 times, and they caught one fish all day. It's like, I wanted to ask them, why are you guys staying here fishing if you're not catching anything? But I didn't. But, I rolled, you know, and I see this boat over there all day, and no one else was fishing it but this one boat, and it looked like they were crappie fishing. So, all right, it's already getting late in the day, and I still be able to fish this and be the first person to bass fish it. I roll up, I start going down this bank, catch 14, catch 15, I catch another 14 and a half, and it's like those are 3 fish really quickly. Now just kind of going down the bank, and then the big girl hit, and I was like, oh, hell yeah, because it came up and jumped. These guys in the bass boat are hooping and hollering, and it's like, I ended up landing that fish, and that was the day, because I know Kyle, he had an 18-inch fish, so I only had little fish at that time. So, and I don't think the guy who got second had his fish up yet, I don't believe. But that 20-inch fish, after I hit that 20-inch fish, man, I was like, I have a good chance of winning this now, because you need to have a kicker fish I knew you're going to have a kicker fish in order to win that thing. Because there can be a lot of 14, 15-inch fish on people's cards. So once I hit that, I was like, man, I relaxed. I was like, yeah, let's just have fun fishing the rest of the day. And then after I catch this fish, I think Kyle, he's seen me over there fishing it. And I know he seen me cut that fish. And he ended up fishing that bank for a while too. So, but yeah, and I just stuck with that bladed jig for a while until about 12:30. I went back to the bridge because all the boats were gone and stuff like that, and I started slowly dragging a football jig. And it's this little guy right here. It's a little Kayak football jig. Here's the exact jig I was doing. I have a Rage Menace on a trailer, and I like having the Rage Menace on these little jigs, especially in colder water, because it kind of makes it fall a little bit slower, and it keeps it out from hitting the rocks and getting caught up in the rocks. But let me see. Here's another. This is just a Kayak jig. This is also a Kayak jig. They're just so small profile. I've used this thing so much, caught so much fish, end up breaking off the hook. But this is actually a good bait I can use for actually pre-fishing. Now I'm not gonna throw it away. I'm gonna use this for pre-fishing. Just put a trailer on there, and so you don't have to worry about hooking your fish whenever you're pre-fishing. Just use that. But this Rage Menace, I cut it down a little bit, and man, just slowly dragging that bait on the bottom. I probably afternoon I probably caught at least 10 fish just afternoon, switching over to that football jig. If I switched from fishing from the 4 to 8 range, I was in fishing from 8 to 15. I just kind of moved off the shore, and nobody was fishing out there the whole day. They were all fishing a little bit shallower, so those fish were kind of untouched. So I ended up getting, in the last half hour, I got a 15.5-inch that pulled me up from 80 inches to 81. And like I said, I did not expect to catch them on a bladed jig. I thought it'd be cranking all day or a jerk bait. So I just bought a brand new jerk bait rod that Kistler's come out with, and I wanted to give a jerk bait a try. I gave it a try for like 10 casts. I just didn't have any confidence in it. So I know someone else said they had caught them on jerk bait. So I knew they were biting the jerk bait, but
that was Matt Scuchas. He took second.
Yep. And I just didn't have the confidence, I wasn't feeling it,
Yeah.
The big thing about fishing for me is instincts, and that's kind of why I fish that area. When my instinct tell me to do something, I don't second guess it anymore. I just, just go do it. And, and that was basically Perry in a nutshell. I talked to, what's that guy's name? He got third. What? Cole Spriggs.
Cole Spriggs. Yep.
Yeah, I guess, he was telling me that lake used to have some giants in it. He can go out there and catch 100 inches, but I know it's got a lot of pressure. And I never thought Perry had a lot of good bass fishing. I know the bass boat guys that I used to fish with have their state tournament out there a few times and stuff like that. But I've never fished it, never heard great things about it. But when you go out there and catch 20.5 inch fish that's over 6 pounds, and the water's still in the 50s and fishing tough, that I'm definitely, since it's so close to the house, I'm going to go back and try to figure out some big smallmouth out there.
Yeah.
Not when it's windy, of course, but
it wasn't ideal conditions, so you wonder if you timed it right. It might bring 90 inches to to win it too.
Yeah, this is the bait I had tied on. And the water was fairly clear, 2 to 3 feet. So I don't like having a lot of color. So it's just the straight green pumpkin, 3/8 ounce bladed jig, and this is a Strike King blade minnow. I've been using this bait for years. It works. I use it most of the time on my bladed jigs. The only time I use anything different is when I'm kind of fishing is really, really tough and I want to make my bait smaller. I'll throw a fluke on there. If you notice, I don't know if people who I have a pond behind my house and it's fairly clear, so I can kind of test baits out and stuff like that. And I can see what trailers do different things to this bladed jig. Like if you have a smaller, lighter trailer, or even throw it without a trailer, it really does a lot more hunting, back and forth action, and I think that triggers a lot of bites sometimes. But most of the time I use that blade minnow. Occasionally I put a Rage Menace on there just to try things out. I know Berkeley has a new bait, the Deal, that's supposed to be really good. But I like to keep things simple. Most of the time with my bladed jigs, like I said, I throw that blade minnow. I throw a lot of different type of jigs, and I usually do a Strike King Rage Crawl. On the smaller jigs, I throw a baby Rage Crawl or a Rage Menace. I usually try to keep my trailers simple because I don't want to carry tons of stuff with me whenever I'm going to these lakes and tons of soft plastics. So I kind of keep things simple. If I just do that, I have 2 different sizes, and from the Rage Crawl and the Rage Menace, they both do different things in the water. So those are 2 baits I have a lot of. And
how do you? Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I was done.
How do you store your soft plastics on the kayak?
I have the Bass Mafia money bags, or the money bags, and I have 4 of them. I have my shaky heads, worms, stuff in one money bag. I have all my crawfish, imitation stuff like that, flipping baits, brush hawks, all in one money bag. And the other money bag, I have mostly trailers, like little swim baits, blade minnows, everything Rage Menaces. And then another bag, I have like Cinco's, flukes, like shad imitating baits. And I have 4 money bags. I put them in the front of the hatch of the Hobie, and I have everything I need right there. I don't really store anything else there. A lot of times I don't even like to take all my tackle boxes. So I got this plastic box. I kind of got little boxes in here to sort things out. And I got everything I need. You see, I got a big bait ball here. I carry this. Like I said, I carry a bunch of crankbaits, different colors. I like the DT pins, the DTAs. Like this box over here, I got all my bladed jigs and spinner baits. This bait might come into play next weekend at the Ozarks, the Trophy Bass Company, Ozark Flash. Got the gold and orange. So got everything I need in here, basically. I got jigs in here. I store all my markers in here. A always carry spike it markers. I'm not big on scents and stuff like that, but I always have these spike it markers because they always come in handy. They got a little garlic flavor to it. And yes, I always have those. But, if that water was a little stained, here's a little Berkeley stunner. If the water was a lot stained, I would have put some orange on my tip of my tail, kind of make it look more like a crawfish. Just kind of, put a little color to it. But they were biting it, so I really didn't need to at that time.
What are you using behind you? What kind of a crate system do you have?
I have a H crate, and I have like those 3,700 Plano boxes of the Hobie H crate. I got 8 that I usually carry, but anymore, before every tournament, I just go through each one, pick out what I think I'm going to need for that tournament, and just to keep the kayak light. And anymore, I take my H crate with me just so I can put my rods in there on the rod holders. But I usually put my Torpedo battery in there now, and just odds and ends, because just try to keep it as light as possible. Which, that's kind of getting hard to do because I got this. This I still need to put on. Got the
nice.
the active target.
It's
the active target. And I got it all set up and everything. I just haven't hooked it up and put it in there because I don't want to start using it until I practice with it a lot. So
yeah,
but yeah,
I'm interested in getting your feedback on that active target after you get some time with it.
Yeah, I know some people that are killing it with it, and some people that just are not good. When they have it on and they're using it. So yeah. I'm gonna find out. I guess.
Yeah. So you're basically just putting together that one box then, basically, as far as what tackle you're bringing on, you're kind of consolidating it down.
Yeah, pretty much. I tried, like a lot of these lakes, if I'm going like on a long trip to Texas or something, I'll bring all my tackle, which isn't very much compared to other people. I want to, I'll mention that in a minute, but I'll take it all and then I'll go out pre-fishing and figure out what they're biting on. And then I'll leave all my tackle back at the cabin or wherever I'm staying or in the truck. And I'll just take the baits out I need and throw them under my seat. And I'll try to take doubles of everything with me. But yeah, just to keep the kayak light and stuff. But, when there's several times I stayed with a guy like Chad Davidson. You know who Chad Davidson is. He's really good angler too.
He's actually in the comments right now asking you if you're ready for LOZ.
Yeah, Chad. This guy has a tackle shop. He has a tackle shop in his truck. He has more baits in his truck than a normal tackle shop does. He had the whole wall of our house that we had filled with baits. He's like, man, how do you travel with so light? But when I first started kayak fishing, I did the same thing. I had to have everything. But over the years, I kind of started going lighter and lighter. Are you ready for LOZ? Yes, Chad. Where are they biting at? And is the water muddy? What's the water temperature? No, I'm.
So that kind of answers Casual Bass Guy's question earlier. I kind of skipped over, but yeah, Richie's not going to be at El Dorado. He had a decision to make, and he's going with the Moyak LOZ. Look at the Ozarks event. So we'll have to make sure we don't have any of those. We really tried not to conflict with any Moyak. So I don't know if we just looked that one over or said, hey, having one that's going to interfere is not the end of the world. Because I'm sure when we were first talking about our schedule, we had to change some stuff up because of that. So, anyways, it is.
Yeah, maybe we can kind of start getting Moyak crew to come over here and fish our stuff and get a few. I know a few Kansas guys go fish their stuff too. So, and especially with with all the money you can win in Kansas now and the competition, it's definitely worth it.
Heck yeah!
And I really plan on being in Melbourne. Hillsdale. Like Hillsdale's 45 minutes from my house, so why not? I never really fished it, but once or twice. But Melbourne, Hillsdale, Wilson's an awesome lake to fish. So I'll definitely be at those three, and hopefully, hopefully I'll hit the last four of them, so I can get in the AOY race. So,
Heck yeah.
but
What do you? I had a question here that I wanted to ask you because we got some people that are a little bit nervous about fishing El Dorado. It's got kind of a bad reputation over the years. And I kind of made a comparison to Wilson. And I'm not saying El Dorado is a Wilson. I'm not saying that. I'm not. And I understand that it's not. But when we had that KBF event out at Wilson that you won, it was a pretty small limit, I believe.
Yeah, it was 70 inches, I think.
And I took second with 4 fish.
Yep.
And I think third had, 2 or 3. So we had a really tough event out there. So I think these lakes get a bad reputation. And then for like the next 3 or 4 years, we couldn't get anybody to go out to Wilson to save their life. I think we just hit it on a bad day or whatever it was, but it was that chatter. It was, man, that lake sucks, it's going downhill. The striper are ruining it, whatever, you have all that chatter. And, we were getting like maybe 10 guys to show up. And so, yeah, we've overcame that, obviously. Now the word about Wilson is out, and everybody wants to go fish it.
Yeah. Well, people are on the fence of not fishing it because they think it's bad. You can catch a good limit at El Dorado. You can catch a good limit there. I know you guys had kayak trips there in the past, haven't you? Didn't
yeah,
Ryan Brook won it.
He won it with like 86 inches.
Yeah, he had a good limit out there. So, and especially this time of year, man, you go out there, if you're on the fence of going, go out there, throw a little square bill, throw a buzz bait. Those things are going to be perfect right now. Spinner bait. And bladed jig. Take those 4 baits and just go cover tons of water. You're going to catch fish. And so.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, and it may be tough for a majority of the field. But how do you prepare for like a grinder if you're going into what's kind of known as a tough lake? How do you go in with whether that's mindset or preparation?
Yeah, I'd like those kind of tournaments, because I'm one of those people. I keep my head down and I make a million casts. That's how sometimes on those grinder tournaments, that's all you need to do. And slow down. Don't worry if you're fishing next to somebody, because you could throw your bait at a fish right behind somebody and it could be at a little bit different angle and you can still catch them. But whenever I'm in those grinder tournaments, I want to have something in my hand that I'm confident in, like square bill. I love throwing like a Lucky Craft 1.5 copper green shad, best crankbait square bill I think on the market ever made. But you can't get one right now because they're so back ordered because everybody wants them. But I've been trying to get them since early last year, and I'm like, and still can't get them. But I don't. But go throw something you're confident in throwing, and just cover tons of water. And I can't really say much about that lake because I've never been there. I've drove over it a few times, and it looks great. But yeah. Somebody's gonna smash them, and somebody is. There's gonna be some people that blank, some people that do okay, and then someone's gonna catch them. So, and that could be anyone. You just don't know. Especially on those tough tournaments, where nobody really has the lake dialed in. It seems like nobody really, even in the bass boat scene, it's not always the same person winning out there. So I think at El Dorado or at those tough lakes, it's more of anyone's game than it is at those lakes that, people are dialing in. And another bait that, I'm really confident in that it'll put numbers in the boat is this just a simple little swim bait like this. I got a little round head Kitech jig ball head, and just I think that's a 2.8 inch, I believe, just something like that, and just put it in your hand all day, and you're gonna catch fish. Um,
That on spinning gear.
I like throwing it on. I throw it on both. I only bring. It depends on what I have on my other, because I only bring one spinning rod with me to tournaments. Depends on what I have on there. A bait, another bite getter is this little wacky rig right here. I usually throw that on my spinning tackle, but yeah, it works best on spinning tackle, lighter line and stuff like that. But it's a bite getter. And with the water temperatures right now, you should be able to get some good topwater action going, like a buzz bait. I throw these Nichols buzz baits, or no, this is an accent. Jacob Wheeler buzz baits, accents, the finesse version of them. I take a little Zoom horny toad, put it on the back, and this bait is kicked butt in the past. I remember fishing tournament with you guys at Butler Lake, and I think I stomped everybody like 18, 16 inches. I don't know what it was, but most of the fish came on that buzz bait. So,
Yeah.
And it's that time of year. It's that water temperature, mid 60s now. It should be getting up there. That buzz bait bite should be on fire. So,
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I'm gonna have a buzz bait or a whopper flopper tied on for sure.
yep, I got those whopper flopper here. Got the little Berkeley one right here. This is one of my favorite ones to throw. This size, a black or a white one, or a bone. So, I've done really well on that too. So, but yeah, but like I said, I'm pretty excited about Kansas Kayak Anglers and see where it's going to go from here, man. I'm hoping it catches on, and we can kind of get some really good lakes, good schedule next year as well. And hopefully it picks up. Hopefully we can start getting 60, 70, 80 people at some of these.
I don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities, being that we have had the turnout we have, and by doing things like this, we're going to introduce new people to the club and to the sport. So we'll just have to continue to try to put the information out there, and maybe also use the clubs that still exist, the NECAs and the SECAs and the Air Capital. Use those smaller clubs to kind of introduce people to the sport and people.
And that's kind of the only bad part about it is all the people that, they want a lower entry fee. They don't want to travel as far. Each local club should still do a few tournaments each, and, at a close lake, just to kind of get newer people in the club and stuff like that. Because I know Kansas City up here is a pretty big area. And we could have a big fishing club around this area. I know Nebraska, small little area up there. They got tons of people up there, tons of passionate people about kayak fishing. So I'd love to see it grow a little bit more in this area, and I think that'd be pretty cool. And so,
heck yeah.
And a lot of those smaller, club tournaments, like doing a tournament like where you draw the radius around a city and fish any lake, those are pretty fun. Those are, I think some of each little club should do one of those or something like that each year, because that's a really fun tournament to do. I fished with my buddy Preston last year at one of those, and it was pretty fun. So
yeah, no, that's a good idea. I think SECA is the only one that's doing a legit full schedule this year, as far as the clubs go. But I think Air Capital, we plan on doing some events, and I was kind of mainly thinking about keeping them fun events. But I think you're right. We need to do an event or two, and just introduce people to it, and that'll, the people that really catch on, and it really it's something that they want to pursue, they can move on to fish with the KKA.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest reasons I went down to the Missouri Club, because it was kind of the lakes, but they're getting like huge payouts, a lot of people down there, and I'd like to see that happen here. So
Yep, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you, fishing the tournaments, and it was good seeing you. It's been a long time, since we have really gotten to cross paths at a tournament. I've stayed here local, and you've gone on and done your thing. So it's been really cool to watch you over the years, and I kind of called you out a couple of times, and it worked. So hey, although you took all our money, so that was, we kind of knew that was coming.
well, I can tell that was luck, man. That was luck. It was luck to catch that 20-incher. So, I still would have been up there, but that kicker was, it was luck, but that's how it happens sometimes. So,
Absolutely.
but
Hey man, well I appreciate you doing this tonight, and I know the guys at home that are watching live appreciate it, and we'll have plenty more people that come on here and watch this later on, that have been following you for years, or maybe they're just now finding out about you. But appreciate that, and hopefully we'll be able to have you on again, and maybe get some insight on that active target the next time around.
oh yeah. Thanks for having me on. But yeah, I'm ready. It's 85 degrees out here in the garage, so I'm ready to get back in the air conditioning. So.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate it, and you have a good one. We'll see you.
Yep.
We'll see you. I guess we'll watch you online at Lake of the Ozarks.
Cool. Yeah. Everybody fishing El Dorado, have a good luck, man. Hope you guys have a great tournament. So.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. See you, man.
See ya. All right, guys. That's it. Richie McMichael, aka McNasty. Appreciate him coming on. As you guys learned there, he won the first kayak tournament that I've ever fished in, and won the last kayak tournament that I fished in. Actually, I didn't fish Perry, so that's not true. But yeah, dude is a hammer. He's been doing it for a long time. He's been doing well for a long time. So really cool to have him on here. He is one of the local legends, right? I don't think that's too far fetched to say that by any means. He's somebody that we all look up to, and awesome to hear his insight on some things, and really cool to hear his excitement for this group that we've just formed this year with Kansas Kayak Anglers. So, if you guys want to get involved and get out and fish some tournaments with us, check us out on Facebook, Kansas Kayak Anglers. Go check us out on Tourney X if you want to get signed up for the El Dorado event. We're going to run that as a solo event as well as a team event. So if you want to get a buddy and join up and fish the team event, you can do that as well. So I know the Dink Dads are a go. Me and Ivan are going to be out there giving it all we got. And for you guys that are on the fence about it, I think Richie's right. I think you go out there, you give it a try. You fish with baits that you're confident in. You follow your instincts and let the cards fall where they may. That's what it's all about. So, guys, appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead and sign out. I got to hit the road and make it to my son's baseball game, which starts here in about 10, 15 minutes. So, appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate all the support. We're over 1,000 subscribers now. I think we're close to 1,200. Really appreciate you. A lot of views, a lot of watch hours over the last several weeks, even though I've been slacking on the videos. So, let me know what video you want to see next, because definitely going to have to get to recording some more. So, guys, thank you. I'm out of here. We'll see you on the next one.